Food and Wine Insider is a weekly look at a $1.5 trillion industry touching every American. Devoted to the business of purveying food and decanting wines, Food and Wine Radio is a unique program highlighting not food recipes or wine vintages, but how to make a profit while satisfying America's palates. In this competitive but highly rewarding sector, many men and women have made profits while fulfilling a dream. Food and Wine Insider is all about better managing any business involving food and wine. Each week, your co-hosts sit down with successful restaurateurs, food mavens, winery vintners, store owners, food suppliers, and other leaders in the worldwide industry that centers on foodstuff and wine. In frank give-and-take sessions, guests and panelists talk about the business of bringing healthy and pleasurable foods and wines to others. Your Food and Wine Radio host are Ann Daw, former president of the Specialty Food Association and a longtime food executive who has held senior positions both here and abroad with Kraft Foods and Philip Morris. Don Mazzella, a nationally known business commentator. On each show, they invite leaders of the world's culinary and wine industries to share the secrets of their success. Visit us at foodandwineinsider.com.
Mike Kurtz founded Hot Honey, which was a big winner at the recent Fancy Food Show. He's here to talk about his unique honey, which I tried over pizza, which I had never before tried, even thought of putting together, and it is wonderful. Mike, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Ann Daw now, and she'll take it from here.
Thanks, Don. Well, I'm going to, by way of introduction, Mike Kurtz is the founder of Mike's Hot Honey. It's a versatile honey out of Brooklyn, New York. Established in 2010. Mike, that's really fantastic. Welcome to Food and Wine Insider.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here chatting with you guys.
Wonderful. Before you created Mike's Hot Chili, I think I saw that you were in the music business and you also traveled the world as a blogger for the Boston Globe. Talk about your experiences and how they inspired you to create Mike's Hot Honey.
Well, my family's background is in the music business. My grandparents were singers. My father is a saxophone player. I grew up with music, and I moved to New York originally with the intention of starting a career in the music business. My first job in the city was working in record sales. I sold CDs back when people were still buying CDs. I was in record sales for a record label, and it's funny because one of my biggest customers in the music business when I was selling CDs was Whole Foods. We used to sell CDs to the whole body department of Whole Foods. So that experience ended up actually helping me later on. I did that for several years, and then in 2008, I had the opportunity to work for the Boston Globe as a travel blogger, and traveled around the world for a year with a friend of mine, and we wrote about it for the Boston Globe, and we traveled to 30 different countries on 5 continents in 1 year, and that was a really eye-opening experience. Obviously, we ate our way around the globe and exposed ourselves to a lot of different types of food that we had never had before, and I think being in New York City, it was a great place to come back to after that trip, just because New York is one of the few cities where you can actually eat a lot of those global foods from all over the world and have it within 15 minutes of your door. So the inspiration for my product actually comes from Brazil. And when I was in college, I studied Portuguese in Brazil, and I went to a small town in northeastern Brazil, and there I found a pizzeria that had jars of honey with whole chili peppers in them for drizzling on the pizzas. And my friend's family growing up had a pizzeria, and I always loved pizza, and I always loved spicy food, so the combination of the two just blew my mind. And so when I got back to the States a year later, I started experimenting with honey chili infusions, and that was kind of the beginning of Mike's Hot Honey.
So you were talking about the first thing that you tried it on was pizza, and Don mentioned trying it on pizza. So why pizza? I mean, it's kind of funny to try it on pizza. What does it do for? What do you feel like it's doing when you put it on pizza?
Well, like the sweet heat from the honey, the way it pairs with the acidity of the tomatoes and the savoriness of the cheese and the cured meats on pizza is a magical flavor. It's funny because in Italy, sometimes you'll see people doing focaccia with a dollop of fresh ricotta and a drizzle of honey on top, and then sometimes they sprinkle dried chilies or chili flakes on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually not all that far off from what they do in Italy with focaccia, but yeah, it's just the combination of the honey with the savory elements of the pizza is just a really special combination that people seem to go crazy for. The most popular combo is the pie at Paulie G's, which was the original pizza that featured the honey, which is it's a Neapolitan style pizza baked in a wood burning oven, and it's just got fresh tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, a little bit of parm, and then sopressata picante. And then the honey is always drizzled on the pizza post-oven after it comes out of the oven. And the combination of the honey on the sopressata is just a wonderful combo.
So, Mike, you've been in business since 2010. How big is it today, and where can people find it?
Yeah, well, we've grown. We've doubled almost. We doubled in sales almost every single year since we started. Today, you can find us in retailers like Whole Foods, Fairway, Walmart. We're actually about to just go into Stop and Shop. So a lot of like the big supermarkets will have it, and then lots of cheese shops, specialty food stores, those types of places, gourmet food stores will have it. Anywhere you see like the fig spread is a good place to look for us. Any sort of cheese plate accoutrement, you'll find our bottles. And in Whole Foods, we're merchandised in the honey section. So if you're going into a Whole Foods, look for us in the honey department.
So do you think of yourself as sort of a small business, a medium business? Are you under 5 million? Are you under 10? About where are you selling? How big is your business today?
Yeah, we're.
You have to give me an exact amount.
We're still a small business. You know, I met you guys at the Fancy Food Show. After the Fancy Food Show, I was the one loading out the truck and, you know, sweating in 115-degree heat and hustling. So we're still a very small business. We're a team of about 7 people. We just added our 7th, and she's starting next week. But this year we're on target to do about $2.3 million in sales, and that's split almost evenly between food service and retail. So we work with a lot of restaurants, a lot of pizzerias, places that do fried chicken and waffles, and then fine dining and cocktails, cheese and charcuterie, salads, roasted vegetables, shrimp, salmon. I mean, you name it. There's really no place where our product can't live.
Well, I have to say, I think that it has been very smart of you to have a business that's both retail and food service, because it gives you the opportunity to really position yourself differently and not be dependent on one channel, and I think that's really smart. I also noticed that the chain Chopped uses your product. Do you find those kind of relationships are very helpful to building your business with being within a chain?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chopped uses us in their vinaigrette, and they're a great customer, and they're really kind of at the forefront of supplying people with healthy lunch options that didn't exist even 5 to 10 years ago. So they're a great partner to work with. And just in general, food service is really our driving force on the marketing side. So when we go into a new market, we typically try to go into food service first to build up brand awareness. And then we go into specialty retailers where we're connecting with tastemakers. I'm talking about like higher end specialty food stores, cheese shops, butcher shops, those sorts of places. And then the last step is to go into bigger box retail and supermarkets where we wouldn't really go into that space until we have some sort of brand awareness in the area. And so that's kind of like the three-tiered process that we go through when we're moving into a new space. But food service is a huge part of growing brand awareness. We're doing a lot to try to get our name out there. So we try to incentivize restaurants to call us out by name on the menu whenever they're listing the menu items. We really try to get them to call out Mike's Hot Honey on the menu, and we also show them love by setting up photo shoots, video shoots at our restaurant partners, and we use a lot of that content to promote the restaurants and the ways in which they're using our products on social media. So if you go to our Instagram, it's at mikeshothoney.com. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see photos of all the restaurants we use and the creative ways in which chefs are using the product. And then recently we started making neon signs, very similar to the way that beer companies will give out neon signs to bars. We're now making neon signs for our restaurant partners. And so if they're using the product, if they're also selling bottles on site at the restaurant, we'll give them a sign, and that's a really big driver of brand awareness when we can get a restaurant to hang our sign.
You know, I think that's always the challenge in food service, is to get your brand awareness, and the condiment makers that I've seen be really successful at it find a way to have some small version of their product on the table so that the consumer is seeing it and using it and, actually seeing your brand. It's really, really tough to get it referenced on a menu, but I'm sure you're thinking about things like that to just get the awareness of your brand up. And I think the bar opportunity is really, really fantastic. When, in terms of selling your product and getting your product to market, do you have your own sales force? Are you using brokers? How do you accomplish that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a number of things. Originally I used to go around, I was a one-man operation. I used to go around and personally make sales and deliveries to restaurants and retailers all over New York City. Now we have a small team, but we also work with a number of distributors, and they have their own sales teams. So a part of our food service business is driven by our food service distributors and really working with their sales teams, getting to know the boots on the ground at each of those engines, and really harnessing the power of those sales teams. I can go out and sell honey all day myself, but if I can teach a man to fish, so to speak, that can really amplify the impact. So I spend a lot of time doing ride-alongs with our distributor reps and their sales teams, and really familiarizing them with the product and arming them with the tools that they need to open new customers. So like we just finished a recipe PDF, and you can get it on our website, mikeshothoney.com. If you go to our website, there's a recipe section. We just finished a recipe PDF that has applications for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, and after-dinner cocktails. And our reps now have this, so they can walk into any restaurant, meet with any chef, and then instantly show them all these different applications and ways in which they can incorporate the product into their menu. So that's been really helpful, and we're trying to do as much of that as possible in terms of just educating and making people aware that they can use the honey on pizza, and that's wonderful. But there's so many other ways in which they can use the product, and we can really fit in on almost any menu.
Yeah, I'm looking at your site now. I see lots of different things. Grilled cheese sandwiches, seafood, barbecue, veggies, fried chicken, ice cream, cocktails. All sounds really awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your experience at the recent Fancy Food Show in New York. What types of buyers seem interested in your product, and why?
Well, the Fancy Food Show is more of a retail-facing show. So we saw a lot of retail buyers ranging from single location, specialty stores from around the country, all the way on up to the big chains. And for us, it's like, I think this is if you combine East Coast and West Coast Fancy Food, I think this is our 8th or 9th Fancy Food Show. So it's a matter of really seeing some of the same buyers that we see each year, and kind of furthering those relationships. Sometimes you only get 5 minutes with an important buyer, and usually it's at the fancy food show. So we try to be on our toes and ready to hit on all cylinders and really get through to the buyers that we're trying to reach at the show. We plan a lot of meetings in advance. We know everybody's going to be in town at the same time. But it's a real mix. I mean, the fancy food show is one of those shows where you got to be there, and you just never know who you're going to see or what's going to come of it. And usually, if you're there and you're putting out a good product, your chances of coming away with a nice book of business, I think, are pretty high. And that's honestly why people continue to pay a really high fee to be there. I mean, I think when I first started out, I was very skeptical about doing those shows, and I kind of scoffed at how expensive they were to exhibit at. I never realized that the companies that are there are really getting an amazing return on their investment. So, it took me a couple shows to realize that, but now I sort of I see the value in them. And for us, connecting the dots between our distributors and our retailers is really important. And now that we're stocked with a wide range of distributors, both food service and retail, when we have a big retail chain that approaches us, chances are we're already working with a distributor that services them, and that just makes it so much easier to close a sale.
Right. You were saying that you have 7 people that work for you. What are their types of responsibilities? What are sort of some of the fundamental things people have to really have working in their business and have people responsible for?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're a small team, so everybody's got to pitch in and do a little bit of everything, and that's one of the requirements for working for Mike's Hot Honey. You can't be afraid to sell. You can't be afraid to lift some boxes. You can't be afraid to chat with the chef. Like, we need people who can really do a little bit of everything, but in general, it's broken down between sales, marketing, and operations. So we have an operations manager. She's wonderful. She manages our production, our inventory, our ingredients, purchasing, supplies, make sure that our big orders going out to distributors are on time. She also manages direct sales with our direct wholesale customers. So she's doing a little bit of everything. We've got a sales director, and she is mostly focused on some of our big retailers and connecting the dots with our distributors. We've also got a road warrior on our team, and that's a real valuable position to have because he goes out and hits all of our distributor shows around the country, pounds the pavement, is out in the field, from coast to coast, sampling the product, working with the sales teams of different distributors, getting them familiarized with the product so they can go out and sell it in their regions. And so we everybody does a little bit of everything, but there is some definition to our roles. My role, I've transitioned from basically doing everything myself, from distributing, marketing, accounting, sales, to being the founder of the company and really being the face of the business. And so my primary responsibilities are building the brand, working on our marketing efforts, and then I do a lot of food service sales. I'm a pizza guy. I love to talk pizza. I could talk pizza all day long. So I focus on food service sales in the greater New York area where I live, and that's really been my strength. And then for our team in general, it's 2018. We're able to work remotely, so we've got people in different spots around the country. Our sales director, for example, she's based in Austin, Texas, and she's able to work remotely. And we have a new salesperson who's based in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're able to all kind of connect and take advantages of the fact that we're in different places, and usually each person can handle business in their particular area, and we try to play it to our advantage.
Now, Mike, you have, I think, one product that's in different forms. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We pack one product in a range of pack sizes for different usage occasions. So
have you thought about any other types of products? Are you thinking about any line extensions to your product line?
yeah, we've tested a few different products. This past winter, we did a run of Mike's Hot Honey caramels and Mike's Hot Honey popcorn. It was like a kettle corn. Those are probably going to just be seasonal products that we roll out around the holidays, almost like our Hess truck for the holidays.
Yeah.
It's a little
Right.
special item that we bring out once a year. Right now we're working on a snack pack, which would be like a small snack pack that's got like a reservoir of honey and then some pretzel sticks and maybe a reservoir of peanut butter for dipping. We're calling it the Mike's Hot Honey Double Dipper. That's something that we're testing out for some of the bigger box retailers, and it's great because we're in a position now where we can be collaborative with our retail partners, and when we're prototyping new products, we can really involve their buyers in the process and really get their input as we develop these new products. But we do believe that there's a lot of room for growth just with our original product, and so that's still the primary focus is really just, we realize that the vast majority of people in this country still have never tasted Mike's Hot Honey, and it's our mission to get them to taste it.
Right. It's sort of like the Tabasco of, you want to be the Tabasco of this business, right? Where you see it everywhere, and it becomes almost the product that people go to when they want a certain flavor profile. What are the core challenges for you at this point?
Well, it's always a challenge to go into a new market, and obviously New York City is our home, and we have pretty good brand awareness here, but moving into new markets as we grow is definitely a big challenge. I mean, most people have never heard of this concept before. So it's not a problem once they taste it, but if they've never tasted it, we have to convince them that it's worth their while. So just growing like brand awareness is a big challenge for us. We do a lot of that by harnessing the power of social media, by working with restaurants. As I had mentioned earlier, that's a huge part of it. I mean, when people go into a restaurant and they have an amazing dish that's crafted with quality ingredients and attention to detail, and they taste our product on that dish and they're blown away, that's a very powerful experience. And then when they see us on the shelf in the supermarket, they remember us. And so building out our food service nationwide is the biggest challenge that we're facing right now, and that's also our biggest focus. So, I've seen the power of this of food service translating into retail sales in New York City, and I know we can do it elsewhere. So, that's awareness. I think is our biggest challenge, and then really maintaining quality as we grow. I think we've done a very good job of that. I mean, we work with a single honey supplier from upstate New York. They're based in Jefferson County. We exclusively use their New York wildflower honey, and we're committed to working with local beekeepers as we grow this company. And we really want to support domestic honey production, which in turn supports domestic agriculture. And so as we grow, we'll be working really hard to ensure that we remain consistent on that front.
No, thank you for bringing it up, because I wanted to ask you about the sourcing of your ingredients, and I loved reading that you work with the local beekeepers. What about on the hot side of the ingredients? Where do you source your chilies?
Yeah, our chili peppers are sourced from Brazil. They are, as I mentioned, I lived in Brazil, and so the flavor of this particular chili is very personal to me. It's unique in that most chili peppers, when you taste them, the heat hits you on the front of your palate. This particular chili pepper, when you taste it, the heat blooms on the back of your palate. So when you taste our honey, you'll taste the sweetness and the floral notes of the honey first, and any food that it's on. And then there's like a 1-second delay, and then the heat kicks in. And it's this unique flavor profile that most people have never experienced. So that's why we use those particular chilies. They're not grown in the States. If they were, we would certainly try to purchase them from a local farm. And that's something that we hope to do at some point, is to get a local farmer to start growing the chilies here in the States. They are a very small percentage of our total product, so the vast majority of the product is honey. I mean, we're talking, basically 99% of the product is honey.
Mm-hmm.
So the chili peppers make up a very small percentage of that.
So, Mike, what's been your proudest moment to date?
I'm sorry?
What has been your proudest moment to date?
Oh, my proudest moment to date. My proudest moment was the day in which we were able to give full health care and dental care to all of our employees. I'm very proud of the fact that we have a small business that is paying the bills and paying salaries for other people and creating jobs, and that we're able to give health care to our employees and take care of them and their families. And I think that's probably my proudest moment. And I know my mom was very happy when we got health insurance.
Well, I think that's really fantastic. The fact that you take care of your people is a big thing, and that will keep your business strong as well, because they can be committed. And healthcare and dental care coverage is so critical, and it's not a given anymore, So to do that is really terrific. If you could have done anything differently in the past 8 years, what would it have been?
I probably would have tried to scale up production a little bit faster. It was kind of a slow build for me, and I ran into some issues early on. There was no template for how to create this product on a large scale. So that took a lot of work with food scientists and a lot of testing and iterating. And I'm not sure I could have done it faster, but maybe if I had focused a little bit more on that, I would have been able to scale up faster. I think it was tricky in the beginning because I got a lot of press very early on when the product first launched, but I had such a small production that I couldn't really capitalize on the press that I was getting. So if I could do it over, I would have tried to capitalize on that press a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give to any budding entrepreneur on the challenges of creating a new product?
Well, this is sort of converse to the last point I made, but I think the first 4 years when I was doing everything myself, I'd say to somebody else who's starting out, you might feel frustrated that things are going slowly and that you're doing all the heavy lifting yourself. But just to remind them that that heavy lifting and all that work is worth it. I mean, the relationships that you build when you're working directly with retailers and restaurants early on, those relationships could last a lifetime and develop into bigger business down the line. And that was certainly my experience. A lot of the time that I spent driving around New York delivering cases, that just sort of endeared me to restaurants, and I built relationships with them that still stand today. So don't lose sight of the fact that all that heavy lifting can really pay off down the line, and that it's not always just a rush to scale up, that sometimes going slowly and slowly building a foundation is really the way to go.
And I think you said something really important, which is, it really is all about relationships and building those relationships and cultivating those relationships and maintaining those relationships, because that kind of makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
It is, and a lot of people are focused on opening new customers constantly and bringing in new business, and sometimes it's really just a matter of making existing business better, and that's a big part of those relationships, is like getting to know your retail partners and your food service partners, learning from them, having open dialogue with them, and then figuring out how you can both capitalize on the relationship and magnifying the power of those relationships. Because sometimes I think we're so focused on new business, we forget that if we can just get existing business to do twice the number of sales, and we're golden, So that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Well, Don, I think we're out of time, so I'm going to switch over to you to wrap us up.
We have been talking with Mike Kurtz, Hot Honey. A link to his website will be on foodandwineinsider.com tonight. You can hear this program and all other past and future programs on foodandwineinsider.com. And also tell us through a short survey what types of programs you'd like to and guests you'd like to hear in the future. But Mike, it's been fascinating. I particularly liked your thought that your proudest moment was when you gave your employees health care. That's an extraordinary answer that in my years of broadcasting this show and others, I've not heard from a single other entrepreneur, and you're to be congratulated.
Oh, thank you. It was really important to me, and I'm just happy we're able to take care of our people.
Well, it's oftentimes the secret of success for small businesses or for any business, and you personify it. Thank you so much, Mike Kurtz. To be successful, most restaurant owners require extra capital from time to time. When you need funding to renovate, buy equipment, or manage cash flow, you don't have time to track down financial statements or wait weeks for a decision. That's where Kabbage can help. Kabbage gives small businesses access to a line of credit of up to $200,000. Apply online and you'll get a decision right away. Since Kabbage is a line of credit, you can take the exact amount you need. You never have to reapply to take additional loans, and you'll only pay for the funds you use. Kabbage has helped more than 230,000 businesses from every industry, and with $4 billion in funding, Kabbage is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and was named the Forbes Top 100 Companies twice in a row. Check out Kabbage at kabbage.com/foodandwine, and you'll get a $50 gift card when you qualify. That's kabbage.com/foodandwine.
Line of credit is subject to credit approval. See terms and conditions. All Kabbage business loans are issued by Celtic Bank, a Utah chartered industrial bank, member FDIC.
Dan Perkins here from Recalculating.biz with your featured book. I want to tell you about a recent interview I had with Bob Bethel, a turnaround specialist with lots of success in small business. Bob's new book is Strengthen Your Business, Fail-Proof Strategies for Small Business. He tells us of his life successes and failures that have made him and his clients so successful. Over the years, Bob has brought 77 companies back from the brink and changed them into thriving, profitable businesses. His energy is amazing, and at 74, he proves that you can still have a great deal to give others if you just try. His suggestions are easy to understand and very helpful. One insight struck me was that most companies do not have a plan. The old Chinese proverb says, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will take you there, is true today. Bob Bethel's book, Strengthen Your Business, can be found at Amazon.com or can be ordered at your local bookstore. This has been Dan Perkins with your Recalculating.biz featured book.
And there are many Italian foods featured at the latest Fancy Food Show. I, for one, really enjoyed La Regina di Marzano's foods and their selection at the show. It was popular, and here to talk about it is Sergio Pagnini. Sergio, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning to everybody.
Well, without further ado, Sergio, here's Ann Daw.
Thanks, Don. Let me just provide a little bit of background. Sergio Pagnini is the North American area manager of La Regina di San Marzano. La Regina di San Marzano is a family-owned company bringing authentic Italian pasta sauce and tomato products with real San Marzano tomatoes. The brand actually is La San Marzano. So welcome to Food and Wine Insider. Sergio. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Now, Antonio Romano had a vision to produce the finest San Marzano tomatoes through the foothills of Mount Vesuvius. Can you tell us a little bit about his journey?
Antonio Romano is the founder of La Regina di San Marzano, and he was a farmer, so he dedicated his own life in cultivating tomatoes, the best tomatoes, and of course we're talking about the San Marzano tomatoes. He established the plant in San Marzano Street 14. This is the address of our plant in Italy. That it's in the San Marzano town. And in order to understand why the San Marzano is so important and is famous as the most important, the best tomatoes in the world, we need to talk about 3 seconds about Italy. Italy is a peninsula, and it's a peninsula in the Mediterranean Sea. That is a very warm sea, and that helps keeping the temperature very, very stable during the whole year. Here, for example, in New York, you can see that there are enormous excursions between summer, winter, and so you go from a very, very cold to very hot, and the tomatoes are very sensitive about this. Plus, we have the Alps mountains in the north. They're very tall, mountains, and they help shielding Italy from the cold winds from the north. And the San Marzano is a region is 20 minutes by distance from the Amalfi Coast, the very famous Amalfi Coast, and it's on the pendice of the Mount Vesuvius. So it's volcanic soil, the vicinity with the sea, and the Italy that is naturally a greenhouse by itself helps these tomatoes grown in that region being this good. It's not like we in Italy, we are magicians, and it's just that we have the best place in the world where to put a seed and in order to have it the best way possible, basically. And Antonio Romano, the founder, basically, he during his own life, he's also put his own attention in selecting also the best seed, because La Regina di San Marzano is a manufacturer. I mean, here in the United States, you have a lot of private labels, so brands that they purchase from someone else a product. We are vertically integrated, and we start from the seeds that we select, that have been selecting every year for the last for over 50 years. This means that because there is also another important fact about Italy. GMOs are illegal in Italy. Here you can find seeds that are literally genetically modified in order to have a certain crop of a certain color, certain dimension, certain size, certain flavor, and this is illegal in Italy. The only thing we can do is selecting the best seeds from the best plants. And this is a process that La Regina is been conducting for the last 50 years. So the seeds we have also are a premium quality. Plus, then also we plant, we harvest. Actually, in a couple weeks, the crop season will start, and for the next 3 months, we will harvest all the tomatoes that then we're gonna process, pack, ship here, and place it on the shelf of supermarkets. So there is a fully vertical integration from seeds to your table. And this is also the secret of, our quality consistency.
I think you managed to answer a lot of my initial questions, which is terrific. I don't think most consumers in the U.S. realize that. I think all of Europe is basically GMO free. You can't have any GMO product, and that's particularly true of Italy. As you said, all your ingredients are grown, they're harvested, and they're processed in and around San Marzano, Italy. Now, what are the challenges to ensuring that you maintain that quality and are able to expand production? You're a crop, so by the same token, Mother Nature can affect your harvest. How do you manage that? How does the company manage that?
Thank God, this is, the way we get a lot of help, geographically speaking, on the point of view of the geographic of Italy, because Italy is long and thin. So we extend the region where we plant the tomatoes. We go from the San Marzano Valley to up a couple hours by car. But in those couple hours, you cross the Apennine mountain and you go and you reach the other coast, that is Puglia. And so the Apennine is also help if there is bad weather on the west coast, there is nothing on the east coast. Plus, this is also the know-how we have, because Antonio Romano started farming the tomatoes, it was early 900. Now Felice Romano, his son, is managing, is the owner and the CEO of the company. And there is the third generation, again, Antonio Romano, because in Italy, we have the same name of our grandfathers. So the third generation is, again, Antonio Romano. He's already managing the production. So it's a know-how, it's a tradition, is nature, is a family, is everything. It's a combination of all these elements that help us managing the same quality and the same quantity also. Then, of course, there are, depending on the weather, there might be some variances on the forecast. But again, it's the country that also help us on how Italy is made and where is it placing more, that is also help us limiting these kind of problems.
I think the proof is certainly that you've done some blind taste testing versus some very famous brands in the U.S. And it looks like San Marzano comes out on top pretty consistently. What do you think that you're doing that they're not doing, besides the fact that it's obviously all grown in Italy, you have this family passion? Is there anything else that's coming through in the taste that we should know about?
Yes. First of all, the way we make this sauce is the way you make it in your kitchen. Our production line, you have to imagine it as a huge kitchen. Then instead of making sauce for 4 people in half an hour at dinner, we make sauce for 600 people every hour. But the concept is the same. Plus, we use fresh ingredients from around our own region. So we don't use, for example, garlic powder, onion powder, or dried something. We use fresh ingredients. This means that every week we have a truck with 10 tons of fresh tomatoes, fresh basil. And when it comes in the plant, the whole plant smells like basil. And we have specialized, I want to say women, because women are very important in the cooking process in Italy. But this is culture, part of our culture. And they clean the onion, they clean the garlic, as you do in your kitchen. And of course, we're talking about the premium ingredients cultivated also in the same soil, volcanic soil where we plant our tomatoes. So using the knowledge, the know-how, and the traditions on the technique side, and also using the best fresh ingredients on the other side, and then we have, of course, the winning combination.
Sergio, you've been with the company a little over 3 years now. What are you doing for the company, and what were you doing before you joined La San Marzano?
I've been working for La Regina full-time for the last 3 years, but I actually started 4 years ago as a consultant, because I was working for a business, for an American accounting firm, and I started consulting La Regina. And then they decided to invest in this country, so starting structuring the company and the operation, and they were looking for a general manager. And and of course, I mean, I was very, very happy to join them full time. I'm also a CPA in Italy. I have a consulting firm. I'm from Rome, and I moved here 5 years ago, actually, following the classic American dream. So I sold everything, moved here, learned English also because I didn't speak English 5 years ago. So I literally had to study, work, and then I mean, fate put me in touch with La Regina. Now I'm very happy. I'm here. It's everything we're doing. Also the feedback we received every day about our sauce are fantastic. So
yeah,
it's a difficult market, but we're making it.
And you have that's a very big job, and you speak English very, very well. So having North America is a huge undertaking. And you know, because there's so many pasta and other sauces on the market, what do you feel is critical in what you communicate on your packaging so that consumers know to choose your brand? I think the packaging has to really call out things. What do you do in the packaging that helps the consumer know how special La San Marzano brand is?
The problem is that actually here in America, communication, marketing, branding activities are 70% of they made 70% of your success. Because if you're very, very, very good in the communication, then you can have success even if your product is not this good. And there are a lot of, for example, fake brands, San Marzano style, San Marzano certified, San Marzano, whatever. And actually, the last example I can make is the company that before here it was branded as San Marzano, the white can, clear San Marzano. Now they had to change the name in SMT. That still recall San Marzano Tomatoes, for example. But if you look in the letters, there is a written San American Tomatoes. So the packaging say everything. The consumer needs to they should pay very, very attention of what's on the label. They need to read the ingredient list. If they compare our ingredient list with all the other brands, for example, I mean, they will start seeing that sometimes they find a tomato paste, tomato concentrate, mixed tomatoes. They say San Marzano style, and then they use a part of San Marzano, but then in the ingredient list you see San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, and then American tomatoes, and then tomato paste. So for us,
you really have to pay attention to the label. And consumers today are paying so much more attention to the label. So I'm hoping that helps you. What else do you do to promote the brand?
I mean, in Italy, for example, I mean, we're not used to fight this much on our marketing side, but we are adjusting. But right now, the very first thing, very important for us, the one that every time I hit a new supermarket, the very first thing I do in order to explain to the consumers that goes in that particular supermarket is organizing a demonstration. Demonstration means you will find me or someone else of my team in the store having you tasting our product. And 30 seconds of your time, you will learn so much about our product, you will be astonished. Because, I mean, first of all, you have to taste it, and then we explain what did you have. Because it's everything else. Once you taste the product and you can taste the sauce as your grandmother is doing it, and then you have to understand how is it possible. Because the first thing, I mean, maybe someone can think, no, they're using natural flavors or natural flavors. I mean, that's another conversation, but maybe we can talk about natural flavors later.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
you are eating like tomatoes, oil, garlic, onion, pepper. That's it. That's our marinara.
Yeah. And so in the U.S., where are you focusing distribution? What channels are you seeking out? Is it mainly supermarkets? Are you looking at specialty? Are you looking at food service? What channels are you really seeking to sell your products?
But actually, I mean, we've been selling in the United States for the last 30 years. And now you never saw our brand because we are co-packers of the major American private labels. So most likely, if you pay attention of very close attention, maybe you can already start eating and buying our tomatoes or our sauces with just a different brand. And of course, our brand, the product we do for ourselves, we manage to create and to use a recipe, a special recipe that is better, of course. And what we're doing here, we launched our product 7 months ago. So the very first channel where you can find our product is Amazon. The second one, now we started from New York because we're based in New York. And I mean, strategy-wise, it's better for us to concentrate on our backyard and then a little by little expanding geographically. From September, we should start also with Florida. Illinois also is doing very good. California also, because those are the also we had the opportunities in the last 7 months to meet buyers and supermarkets from this regions. And on the food service, of course, I mean, we have a general volume of over 1,000 containers for just the food service. And those are tomatoes that are going in restaurants in the East Coast, majorly. So we have a lot to do. We want to be nationwide on both food service and retail side. We are also focusing on getting the most important certifications because, for example, I mean, our product is kosher, is non-GMO verified, it is gluten free, and so we.
Sergio, so I'm in New York. Where can I find the product?
In New York, Gristedes, Fairway, Morton Williams, Kings and Balducci. From September, ShopRite will start carrying the product. Acme, Price Chopper. Okay. Even if we launched the product 10 months ago, I can say that the last 10 months were very, very intense.
Excellent. And how are you priced versus other pasta sauces on the market?
Well, the shelf price is $7.99. That's the full price, and now all the major, the premium sector is leveling up around the $7.99, $8.99, and so we want to be at the price where everybody can afford to get our sauces. And so the shelf price, the full price is $7.99. Of course, we are at the very beginning, so most likely you will find in promotion, couponing, or for around the $5.99, $6.99.
Sure. And how many people are involved in the business in the U.S.?
Oh, in the U.S., we are a startup at the end of the day, so we're just 4 people.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, 4 people getting into all those places. It's really fantastic. So Sergio, what's been your proudest moment to date? What has been your proudest moment to date in this business, in the La Regina di San Marzano business?
Today is talking with you.
Very sweet. Very, very nice.
I mean, generally speaking, I mean, as I said before, every time I have a chance to let someone taste the product, or someone in general, sometimes I stop a consumer around in the street or a buyer. I mean, there are no difference, but I'm very proud because every time I have someone tasting the product, this sauce is fantastic. Where is it? Where I can find it? And then that's what is giving me the energy. And I mean, because then I feel sorry that he cannot find it probably in the local store, for example. So that's why we push every day to place the product in the right source.
If I could ask another question, what's the best advice you have ever been given?
Don't speak when you're angry. Yeah, that's the best one.
That's excellent. Now, tell us a little bit about your experience at the Fancy Food Show. Had you been in the show before, previously?
But
or was this your first time?
No. We've been participating in the Fancy Food Show for the last 13 years, actually.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Now, of course, in the last couple of years, we managed to organize a great show. We had a new booth, bigger, 40 feet, modern, and I mean, at the end of the day, even if we are a startup, people need to, also in the business, need to see that we are a serious company, premium and Italian. So, yeah. I mean, yeah.
And relationship-wise, what relationships have you built through the show?
But through the show, I mean, we were able to get 4 good leads. Whole Foods, for example. I mean, we are already in Whole Foods just with the canned tomatoes. Now we're trying to place also the sauces. So most likely in the next 4 to 5 months, we will start with the sauces also with Whole Foods, and then a couple two very good leads on the food service side. Actually, even we're talking about the retail show that's supposed to be for the retail, but and then that's it. But those 4 leads, I mean, they will repay the next 10 Fancy Food, so we're good.
Yeah. Well, I had the opportunity to be at your booth, and it was a beautiful booth. You were serving out of wonderful chafing dishes. Your product, it tasted delicious, which is why I wanted to know where to buy it. If you had the opportunity to give advice to another, let's say another Italian company wanting to do business in the U.S., what would you tell them?
That is difficult. It's literally a challenge. You need to be consistent. You need to be very well organized, plan, and you have to want it as much as you can.
That's all very excellent advice. And where would you like to see the business in 5 years? And how would you say your approach is different from that of other pasta sauce producers?
In 5 years, in 5 years, if we will be able to keep this rhythm, the brand will be very well consolidated. So the distribution will be homogeneous on East Coast, West Coast, Central America. And I mean, I see everybody happy, very happy in 5 years.
Sergio Pagnini of La Regina di Marzano, thank you so much for being with you. A link to your website will be on foodandwineinsider.com tonight, where you can hear this and every other Food and Wine Insider program. You can also tell us through a short survey what you'd like to hear more of or see more of in the food and wine industry. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk to everybody.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Food and Wine Insider with Ann Daw and Don Mazzella. Want to join us on a future show? Contact us at foodandwineinsider.com. Until next time, have a passion for food, wine, and profits, and think of our program, Food and Wine Insider.